So those things are constantly, Brian, to your point, those things are constantly on the mind of strategic thinkers within our space, where we have to look out for that, because we have people at motor oil companies that are not just looking at how we're going to make money next quarter, but how does our business look 15 years from now? Back in the old days when I worked at Lubrizol, if you guys are old enough to remember, once upon a time, you're supposed to change the oil in your car every 3,000 miles. But then you got these things called, you're supposed to change your transmission fluid every now and again. Then they started sealing up transmission systems. You can't change your transmission fluids. Then you had these super long life oil and these super bougie oil filters that cost a lot of money. And now you can go for 6 months or 20,000 miles or 15,000 miles between oil changes, not three, So in the motor oil business, and Haley, perhaps your father could opine on this, but in the motor oil business, there's this great kind of shift change is what happens to our demand for motor oil. And there's these things, I think they're called electric vehicles, that actually don't use motor oil. So what about the demand for motor oil as this move to longer oil drain intervals, right? You don't have to take your car to Jiffy Lube every 2 months, you take it every 6 months. And you have these things called Teslas and hybrids and plug-ins and stuff that we in Texas don't understand all that stuff in general. But those things that I read about, what does that do for the motor oil industry? And the answer is the motor oil industry and the automotive industry and the people that make axle grease and the people that make transmission fluids and the people that make brake fluids, they all have to flex to what's going on with the new technology. Just so happens, as you increase the number of miles you drive before an oil change, that actually increases the demand for detergents, anti-rust, anti-corrosion within your motor oils. So your motor oils are becoming more expensive, right? Go get that BMW branded motor oil and see how much it costs per gallon versus what your dad paid for the old straight 40 weight Amalie motor oil that he used back in the 60s. Back then, that was just plain Jane crude oil, right? More or less. And today it's got additives out the wing. That's a technical term. Got a tremendous amount of additives that allow you to increase that oil drain interval. So companies that make oils and fuels and automotive fluids have to change with the times for that. Just like the steel industry with the automotive space. Once upon a time, there were steel bumpers. I don't think there are too many steel bumpers today, right? But what does that do? Do steel companies go out of business? I don't think so. But there are some kind of shifts in market focuses.